Stay tuned for the latest in high-tech tackle and game-changing lures for your four-season fishing success. This is your Angling Connection, the pro's choice.
Hey, this is Mike Behanick with the Pro's Choice, your Angling Connection. We're at the Chicagoland Fishing, Travel, and Outdoor Show with Dale Black. And Dale, you've got your Asylum Bait Company. I have always said rabbit fur is one of the most underutilized materials for baits. I see you've picked up on that theme.
Yeah, it was something a buddy of mine used on the river. We used to use a lot of our own jigs, and watching a jig come through the water, and I said, can we put that on a drop shot hook? He goes, yeah, I think so. And it happened to be one of the few times we fished 2 days in a row. And he cleaned my clock. And of course he only tied one. So it was started off with a black one for smallmouth, and we've just added a few colors, and then we've moved into the jigs because we've used the rabbit hair jigs before. Rabbit hair is a very deliberate fur. You know, it's not like the marabou that's more of a feather where you get really a fast acting look. The rabbit's very deliberate in its action, so it works real well once it gets wet.
I notice you get not only that undulation, but just kind of almost a breathing quality to it.
And I think when you're looking at those presentations where you're really finesse, that can really trigger a strike because it looks like it's breathing. It looks like it's really alive, and you don't have to put as much action into it to get that look.
Now, you mentioned the origin came in as a drop shot bait. I notice also you've got jigs in a variety of sizes. Talk about the applications there and the different sizes you have.
Yeah, mainly everything that we've done so far we've used. So it was more of using it in the drop shot was something we just wanted to try for smallmouth out on the river. It was normally late in the fall, you know, is when we were really noticed fishing, but then we started using them all year. And the black was most common because it represents more of, I think, a leech than anything else. And a leech in the water, you know, it has that long tail and they'll shrink and move. And so that's how it really got started, was with the leech in the drop shot side. But we've always thrown our own hair, and we've used some deer hair and, you know, played around with some ostrich and things like that. But really it settled on the rabbit just because of the appearance of it. And we want people to have as much fun fishing with baits as what we do. And when we were finding that the conditions were tough, we were able to put that rabbit hair on and entice them. And there's a few tricks we learned with the rabbit hair. One of the things is you've got the hide in the back, so it has to hydrate. Well, what we found is you use a water-based scent, you soak it in that, and that hide will absorb the scent. Now you can fish with a scented bait, where if you use that oil-based, it'll mat the hair. Destroyed a few that way with an oil-based scent. But it's been very unique. The smaller sizes, you know, we see with a lot of the real cold conditions, you get a little bit slower fall rate. They're a smaller bait, and you know, we also catch a lot of crappie with them. We've caught everything from bluegill to muskie. And
now let's start. I noticed your colors and your sizes on this. Let's go. How many colors? It looks like you got what, 5 colors?
Yeah, we've got the main colors are black, white, which we would call the leech, bait fish, and craw. But we added one this year, which is actually, they just got tied up this week, and you can't see the packaging really hides, but there's a chartreuse, and then a olive green, and then we have the craw, black and white in the drop shots. But on the jigs, we added a 1/16 and a 3/32 in all the sizes, but then we also tied the chartreuse in with a black head and a white head. And I think we're actually toying with the idea of bringing out a white body and head with the red tie, or where the thread is, just to simulate maybe the gills flaring and things like that. A gentleman said yesterday, he goes, you need one with red in it. And I'm like, okay. And he went on to explain. I'm really like, hey, you know, anytime we can do something a little different, and you know, anglers that want it, we might be able to help them catch fish, we can try to do, and that's something that's very simple to try. So yeah, we added 11 SKUs this year that weren't original with our baits, and we're really excited. I really love playing with the rabbit. It's something that we're hoping we're going to be able to introduce some more product under the Asylum Bait Company label. And
well, I think you're on the right track, and best of luck. I think that hair jig is going to be a hot seller. But Best of luck.
Well, we've had some guys that tried it because they were skeptical. I don't know. And I keep getting phone calls going, hey, I need more. So, you know, I know the guys that are giving it a try are having some success, and that's what it's about, is having success when you're on the water.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the black. That's one of the things you can sit there with, especially the drop shot. You just barely move it and you get some real nice action and part it as you go. And that's with the drop shot, so you got your weight below it. And then you move into the jigs, and this is one of the new ones this year. And mainly we were designing these for crappie and the smaller baits, but you can see with the jig. And we like these heads because a lot of times with the rabbit, because it's so deliberate, you can stop it and it doesn't always just fall straight flat. It'll stay out and you can sort of jig them a little bit even above. It doesn't have to be right on the bottom. And then you've got the heavier heads. I think this one is a 3/16. Normally the bigger the head, the little bit longer we'll have with the legs on them. Now you can get too big with rabbit. The one thing about it is as it gets wet and supple, you'll get less movement on a long piece. And we've tried to design some on scrounger heads, and they've been a big disappointment because the long rabbit ends up, there's not enough force. It's almost like fly fishing. You're not getting enough force rolled out into the rabbit hair to get it to move. So the whole thing will move except for the back half and it stays flat. It really looks bad. So we're playing with some different things to incorporate, you know, to put more power out in that tail to get some movement. But there's a fine line in which you're going to get movement in that.
Interesting.
In that head.
How have these been as cold weather baits?
That's when they're the most successful. You know, you look at whether the guys are fishing in Tennessee with a floating fly or up north with the fader fly. That's one of the originals that Outcast did. You know, they're focusing on those small profiles, light heads, so they're staying in the water column longer or in that strike zone longer as they're falling through. And that's where they seem to be the best, is in that cold water where you're really looking for finesse presentations and trying to trigger that strike a little bit more.
Okay. In float and fly applications, what sizes have they been using?
Oh, in the float and fly, they're using a lot of the real light 16, even going even lower than that, than the 16. So
I guess you always have to match that up with your float as well.
Yeah, you're always trying to, and I'm still learning that float and fly. It's something that you see more around like Dale Hollow, things like that. It's that real cold water, large smallmouth, and they're triggering those bites that way. So we're still playing with that on the Allegheny River at home. So,
all right.
But we catch walleye and muskie and everything on them, and you know, it seems to be that any fish that's an opportunistic feeder, they'll eat it. You know. And caught some bluegill. I know it's by accident. You know, I don't know how they got the hook in there, but we've caught them. Yeah. So the crappie, there's not a problem. They'll take that. Most of our hooks, you know, are, you know, down from a number 2 all the way up to 2/0. So, and they're built on a Mustad and owner hooks. So a good hook is critical if you want a good bait. So we really try to start. All the drop shots are built around an owner 2/0 mosquito hook, one of my favorite drop shot hooks. And then our smaller 1/16 and 3/32 are built off owner jig hooks, and then bullet heads are all built off of Mustads.
Now, if viewers want to get these baits, what's their best way to access them?
My website's not up, but you can always get it sales@asylumbaits.com.
Sales@asylumbaits.com.
And our favorite tagline is actually so crazy it should be committed. So, you know, that's how it came up with.
All right, it is crazy. I hope you have crazy success again this year.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our pleasure.